Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have been working on multiplication now for 2.5 years. We're still working on multiplication, but this time we're adding some decimal points in. Why? Because it's fun. It's different. We have multiplied some with decimal points, but we did pictures with it. Little models. Not like a model that walks down the runway, but you know, a picture model. So I've given you 3 problems to solve on your own. Let's go with Caden. 57 and 4/10 times 4/10. How many numbers are going to be behind my decimal point? 2. 1 and 8/10 times 2 and 2/10. How many numbers are going to be behind my decimal point? Zoe. 2. How do you know that, Zoe? Good. Rounded. Got the answer. She could have also counted the numbers behind the decimal point. There's 2 numbers behind the decimal point in the problem. There have to be 2 behind it in the answer. Drea. 92 and 2/10 times 3/10. How many numbers behind the decimal point?
Wait, which one?
This last one, the one that doesn't have the answer already.
29.
No, I just want to know how many numbers behind the decimal point.
2.
2. Because there's 2 numbers behind the decimal point in the problem. There have to be 2 numbers behind the decimal point in the answer. How many ever numbers are behind the decimal point in the problem? That's how many need to be behind it in the answer. Now we multiply these, ignoring the decimal point. So I have 574 multiplied by 4. So now if you can know your multiples of 4, you're pretty golden on this. And Carter, what's 4 times 4? That's 16 ones. Or 6 ones and 1 10. Carter, what's 4 times 7? 28 plus 1 more 10 is?
29.
That's 9 tens and 2 hundreds. Carter, what's 4 times 5?
20.
Plus 2 more?
22.
22. Two numbers behind my decimal point in the problem means there has to be 2 numbers behind my decimal point in the answer. So as long as Carter and I did our work correctly, you should have gotten 22 and 96 hundredths. Again, we got a number smaller than 57 and 4/10 because we multiplied by a number smaller than 1. When you multiply by a number smaller than 1, the other factor is going to get smaller. All right, next we have 18 times 22. Because I'm doing the problem without the decimal points. Since I'm doing it without the decimal points, I don't put the decimal points in until I get the answer. I know that I'm going to have 2 numbers behind my decimal point because there's 2 numbers behind my decimal point in the problem. This 8 and this 2 are both behind the decimal point in the problem, so there has to be 2 numbers behind the decimal point in the answer. There does. Andrea M., what's 2 times 8? 16, 6 ones, 110. Andrea M., what's 2 times 1? Plus 1 more? 3. So 18 times 2 is 36. Now we're doing 18 times 20. Well, it obviously can't be 36 again. That'd be cray-cray. Because 18 times 20 can't be 36. It can't be the same as 18 times 2. So I would get 36 here as well. I add those 2 products together. And I get 6, 9, 3. I go back to my problem. And I see there's 1 number behind the decimal point. 2 numbers behind the decimal point in my problem. Which means there has to be 2 numbers behind my decimal point in the answer. So I should have gotten 3 and 96 hundredths, as long as I did all my math correct. As long as I did all my math correct. It's very little difference than multiplying by whole numbers. And you guys did a really good job on a test yesterday multiplying by whole numbers. Because you're smart. Because you care.
That's a pirate.
92 and 2/10 times 3/10. I ignore the decimal points. I multiply by 922 times 3. Let me ask this, though. Eli, is my answer going to be greater than 92 or less than 92? Less than, because I'm multiplying by a number less than 1. If you think these things through ahead of time, you're not going to put your decimal point in the incorrect place. I promise you. All right, so we just have to know our multiples of 3. Easy peasy. Dead fish squeezy. Eli, what's 3 times 2? 6 ones. Good. Eli, what's 3 times 2? 6 tens. Good. Eli, what's 9 times 3? 27. Good.
He was telling him that.
Eli, how many numbers are behind the answer or behind the decimal point in the problem? 2. This 2. This 3. Which means I have to put it there. I have to put it there. So I'm going to get 27 and 66 hundredths. Boom! Shakalaka, peace out. God bless. Love you. Do something kind today. Save the bees. Please subscribe. I want to be rich, famous, and away from these kids.